good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Ajman in the United Arab Emirates. Now, if you're not familiar with the Emirates, it kind of works as sort of like a United States, but Emirates ruled by Emir. Ajman is the smallest of the Emirates. It's pretty much just the city of Ajman, but there are a couple of little towns that belong to the Emirate of Ajman. One is called Al-Manama, which is about here, so the Hajar Mountains cut right through here, and they're up in the foothills there. Another town is called Masfout. It's about here or so. They're very tiny, so they're not denoted on this map. But those make up the Emirate of Ajman. Ajman, as you can see, is along the Persian Gulf here. And it has its own little harbor, and the main source of its income is the free zone that makes up that harbor, makes it a good place for trading, buying, selling, all those little worldwide economic things that lots of countries can come and build their factories here. The Emirates, if you are familiar with the Emirates, you know that the name is associated with glitz and glam and all of the extreme luxuries that the modern day can afford. Ajman does have a little slice of that, but it has a good mix of the traditional with the modern. It is a modern city, very beautiful, but they do really embrace that cultural heritage. And most interestingly, they have a preserved mangrove forest along the coast here. We'll take a look at it on Google Earth after I talk about the history of this place. So, one of the indigenous ethnic people here were a tribe of Bedouin people known as the Na'im. Before them, there is evidence of like lots of early settlement, but I couldn't find a lot about Ajman in particular. And I found a little note that the Portuguese sailed by in the 16th century, but to be honest, where didn't the Portuguese sail by in the 16th century? Am I right? So let's skip ahead to the Na'im Bedouin tribe. There were quite a few branches of the Na'im. The one that lived in Ajman was known as the Al-Bushamis. And we don't really know a lot about them. Pretty much all that we know about the people that lived in this exact area are from British records, and we'll talk about why it's British in a second if you don't know your UAE history. In 1817, Ajman Fort fell to the forces of Sheikh al-Nuaimi, which I hope I'm saying that right. I think it's kind of a cool name. Nuaimi, al-Nuaimi. Another fact about the Emirates is that each one is ruled by a ruling family. Emirates, right? So the Nuaimi family has been in control of Ajman ever since this time. That is their little slice of the peninsula. Let's see. I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. The British had a lot of stake in shipping through the Persian Gulf, and there were some issues with pirates in the area. Also at this time on the Arabian Peninsula, it was sort of a kill or be killed mentality among the different tribes and sheikdoms and things like that. So there's a lot of internal struggle, and that really branched out to external trouble. The British didn't like that. In 1820, they formed the Trucial States, which Ajman joined. Trucial as in truce. The British were like, listen, stop being pirates, and we will utilize you and protect you, and we can have like a shared relationship here on the Persian Gulf, and they agreed to it. It didn't really stop some of the more internal struggles. There are a couple times that the city was invaded or sacked. I think the biggest was in 1831. They were attacked by Abu Dhabi and by Banias over here. Was it something? I have a video on Abu Dhabi, you should check it out. But yeah, there was still a lot of internal struggles, so the British weren't happy about that either. So they signed a treaty. I believe they signed it in Ajman because it's located in the museum there. The Perpetual Treaty of Peace. Did I say the year was signed in 1853? To be like, listen, you guys can't fight amongst yourselves. It doesn't help out anybody. So it's been relatively peaceful along the coast ever since ish. It got a little rocky at times, particularly in the 1920s. All of the major towns and cities along the coast here lived off of pearling. It's a place where they would sail out into the Gulf, dive off the boats, grab the oysters themselves, and harvest beautiful natural pearls that would be sold all over the world as luxury jewelry. But a couple things happened. One, the Japanese invented, I forget what it's called, like artificial pearling, where they could, let's see, it's on the tip of my tongue, and I'm sure you all know it, what it's called. But pearls are formed in the oysters when dirt gets in, and they wrap up the dirt in their own little protection thing. It creates a pearl. The Japanese figured out how to put dirt inside the oysters without harming them, so that when they open it up, guaranteed pearls. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. I'm so annoyed. But you know what I mean. And also the Great Depression hit, so people weren't buying jewelry anyway. So it hit the Emirates and the other pearling areas around the Arabian Peninsula very, very, very hard. So the current Sheikh Al-Nuaimi, right, they've always been Al-Nuaimis, try to think of ways to help out all of these people here who are now unemployed. And he looked inward and found the town of Manama. Also not to be confused with the capital of Bahrain. It has the same name. This area was very, very fertile, and they were growing all kinds of things. Like, you think farms in the Emirates, you think dates, but they were growing all different kinds of fruit. And they had a really big honey industry. So the city of Ajman absorbed this tiny little town of Manama and turned it into the city's breadbasket. And a lot of people from Ajman moved to the town there so that they can harvest honey and the fruits and all of that to kind of save the town from the depression. In 1948 is when Ajman invaded Masfout, the town over here. Now, why did they invade a tiny, tiny little town over here? It's something called the Brahmi Dispute, which we're going to talk about in, let me look at my calendar, in about 3 weeks when we get to Al-Brahmi in Oman. It was a conflict between Saudi Arabia and Oman, and this area was caught right in the middle. But one of the issues is that in the area here, there's another area called Hatta. I think it's part of Dubai. There were a lot of thieves happening, like caravan raiders. They were also Naim Bedouins. And it was sort of like a kind of Wild West of the area where they were trying to wrangle and control the area. And then conflict between the ever-expanding Saudi Arabia and the very powerful Oman, which again we're going to talk about in a couple weeks, so put a pin in that. But the area was left kind of on its own, and Ajman went in and took the town. I've tried to find a why they would do that. It just seemed like these people who were powerful kind of like pirate highway robbers for the first time ever were very, very weak with the conflict happening nearby, so Ajman just took advantage of it and took over the town. So once the UAE was formed in 1971 and Ajman became its own emirate, so did Manama and Masfout. And that is the story of Ajman. And again, they're not trying to be Dubai. I mean, no one really can be Dubai at this day and age. They are not trying to make it the ritziest, fanciest, biggest, bestest artificial islands, that kind of thing. They are very modern in their own right, but, you know, staying on the pulse of tradition. So let's take a look at this place on Google Earth. Let's check it out. Let me slide this into frame. So you can see Ajman. Let's zoom out a bit, just in case you don't know where Ajman or the Emirates are located in the world. Let's head out here. You can see here's the big Arabian Peninsula. Over here you can see Iran and the rest of Western Central Asia. Over here is Africa. There's Europe. Right there. So you can see how this area was important for shipping. You could get stuff here into British controlled areas up here. The Suez Canal is just next door, so a lot of British ships were sailing out of this area. So it was important for them to wrangle up at this area, get it all cleaned up from their many, many disputes. You can see the borders of the city of Ajman. It is not large. Like I said, it's the smallest emirate, and it's pretty much just the city of Ajman. Let's take a look at this slideshow. Very big modern skyscrapers, of course, but nothing like Dubai, right? There's no Burj Khalifas to be found here. It's much more tamed. Kind of like a typical major first world city. A lot of these are repeat pictures, but you get what I mean. Let's take a look at the Corniche area. Where I grew up in San Francisco, we call this area the Embarcadero. Basically, it's like the beachfront. So you can see all of these really cool. And if you look close, you can see that they're like kind of private beaches. They've got walls there to keep their resorts their own beaches. Isn't that cool? Very pristine, very beautiful, right? Let's take a look at Ajman Beach. The beautiful water, which must feel so nice to swim in. There you can get a better view of just how these beaches are all carved up by all of the resorts there on the water. Yeah, it must feel fantastic to swim here. And look, you can get some camel rides on the beach too. How fun is that? Yeah. Ajman, from what I can tell, is pretty, family friendly. Pretty much as family friendly as the Emirates can get. There are lots of really cool little attractions. The zoo is over here. There's the marina. This, of course, is more for shipping and stuff, but they have that beautiful Corniche walk along the water with lots of cool little statues and little parks and things. It's so neat. The beachfront areas are the best. Al-Zora is the name of like the kind of downtown. That's where we're going to see the mangrove trees. Splash on the cool fountain too. Must feel so nice on those hot nights. Al-Zora Marina, yeah. So this is where the magic happens. You can see the customs there. But over here is what I want to show you. This preserved mangrove forest. So the city is really big on keeping this area as it is, as it always has been. So there's a rule that you cannot be able to see the skyscrapers from the mangroves. So all of the big buildings are down over here, right? So that they don't really interfere with the skyline. So that when you are exploring the mangroves, let's find a good little point. I guess this natural reserve. So it looks as natural and beautiful as possible. You can kayak out the water, see all the flamingos. Yeah, how cool is that? Yeah, so you don't have to worry about skyscrapers dominating the skyline here when you're exploring the kind of wetland area. See, look how beautiful. Like, you wouldn't expect that like a major city is like just behind you, right? Really, really beautiful. So well preserved, so well maintained. Very, very neat. Let's check out, let's see if I can remember where it all is. It's all over here. The Ajman Museum. Now, the original fort is in this area as well. You can see. How cool is that? Isn't that neat? The Ajman Museum. Old cars. Ooh, very cool old ship there. Probably a pearling ship. Some kind of like rocks and things you can find in the area. And lots of cool little dioramas here. There's some neat ones. Let's see. They're studying the Quran in that one. Looks like it's ladies' night here. I'm doing some makeup. Some cool guns. This guy's got a lot of wood and things. There he's collected and protecting. They're cooking up some good food. This is my favorite one. Look at this forced perspective of the irrigation canals. That's so cool. I like that one. This one shows all the tools that they would use in creating whatever they needed to create. More cool guns. Yeah, that's really neat. I like that. That is fun. And what else should I show you around the city? Yeah, it's just kind of a nice little modern city. All kinds of fun things. Karting town. Where is it? It doesn't have cool pictures, but I just want to show you. We can't get into Sharjah. Here we go. The camel racing track. Amazing. So cool. Lots of fun little things. Where is it? I think I have to show you if I find it. I think it was over here. In kind of like the rural area. You can do some cool camping and stuff. There's little farms over here, and they are working farms, but they're more like spend the night with your kids kind of farm, you know, like pools and stuff, jacuzzi baths. But you could still experience what life is like on a little farm. How fun is that? Yeah, that's all I need to show you. Oh no, I found it. Jacob's farm. Let's check out Jacob's farm, okay? Here's Jacob's farm. Staples. Jacob's sheep. The walkway here isn't it pretty, all lit up. Sitting room. There's Jacob's kitchen. There's Jacob's Instagram. Jacob's rainforest. Everything here is Jacob's park. Jacob's carnival. Jacob's lights. There you go. Jacob's carnival. I told you. Jacob's first birthday. Hello Kitty themed first birthday. Jacob has everything. There's something in for Jacob's. I can't read that. There's Jacob's bunnies. Jacob's farm and camping. That must be the main entrance. Everything is Jacob's. Jacob's well. No notes. Perfect. Alright, let's go take a look at the tiny cities. First, we have to find them. They are very, very small little places. Let's see. Maybe you're going to spot it before I can. So here we are in like the mountains. Doop 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 doop. Amanama. Here we go. Oh, there's no pictures here. Let's take a look then. It's a neat little place. You can really see the agricultural aspect. You can zoom in on all of these really neat farms. I love looking at date farms. It's so organized. It just makes me really pleased, to see something so neatly organized from above, And lots of cool sights to see. There's an old tower. Do have any pictures? Yeah, look at that. An old fortress. How cool is that? Lots of little history, even in these tiny bitty, towns. Let's see. Oh, there's a museum here, too. I wonder if I can find it. Maybe it's up here. See, all the farms up here, right? Yeah, I guess not. Oh well. Okay. Wait, let me check one more time. Nope. Here's a cool old fort. Let's check it out. Oh, I remember I was exploring this place because I thought this was, they made a yin yang there in the park. How cool is that? The pictures aren't anything to write home about, but the old forts are pretty cool. Here's the red fort. It's very old places, right? They've got zebras. That's neat. But yeah. And Arabian Orcs. Who was it that said in my live chat that Arabian Orcs aren't goofy looking? Look into his little face. Look into this man's face here. Tell him he's not goofy. That's a goofy animal, okay? Arabian Orcs are super goofy. They were hunted almost to extinction because of their big, long, beautiful, goofy horns here. They were sold to Europe and sold as unicorn horns. So many countries around the Arabian, look at these friends. Many countries on the Arabian Peninsula are working to repopulate the area with these cool guys. Pretty little mule there. But yeah. There we go. Let's get out of here. Let's take a look at Masfoot. Let's close that. And let's head over the mountains here. There's Hatta. And there's Masfoot. Let's take a look. Even smaller than the last town, right? But there's lots to see. There's the Masfoot Museum up here, which is also another old fort. This looks like very well preserved, right? Look at big old cannon there. Lots of cannons. Like I said, this was an area of a lot of highway robbery and stuff, so good to protect it. The square tower. Painted dog. Molasses as a defensive weapon. Wow. Pretty neat. Yeah, that's up on this hill up here. Little oases around here. And yeah, it's just kind of a little town doing its own thing up here in the mountains, and the very, very edge of the Emirates here before it reaches Oman. And I think that's it for tonight. This is one of those places where you could just look at slideshows of things all day and just have fun. Dubai. There's Sharjah. Ajman. So I'm not going to spend too long looking at places. I always encourage you to check it out yourself because the world is wonderful. Next, we are going to a place that's going to be even harder for me to film because it has so many places to look at on Google Earth. We are going to Japan. So be sure to subscribe if you have not done so already so you won't miss out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this video relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a very good